Okay. Just as soon as Streamlabs finds Overwatch, I will be starting up the look at the VODs. Looks like something's not happy in the system settings. Looks like I'm gonna have to restart Overwatch again. Wow, that is a filthy liar of a program. It totally did see it. For the record, the stream is on about probably 1 minute of delay, I would guess. So I'll be a little slow in getting back to questions. Okay, Lijiang Tower here. Let me just check the mic is on, check. Desktop audio's on, check. Cool.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat, and I'll do my best to read them. So right off the bat, comps-wise, the comps are kind of funky. So, Team 1, or the team we scrimmed against, they were just running the full brawl. It's more like a comp that you'd run on Control Center, except that they have the Ana instead of the Moira, so they don't actually have as much brawling capability. If I'm honest, Moira just straight up outvalues Ana in a brawl comp. Meanwhile, so she should be a pretty easy dive target here. Meanwhile, we have pretty much the antithesis comp here with double dive tanks, double dive DPS, Moira. If I'm honest, with the Moira and with the Mercy, I would actually just straight up run the Ana, like the Ana Mercy backline. Yes, you're more vulnerable to being dove on, but Moira she doesn't keep up with it. Like, you're not playing the Brawl DPS, you're not playing the Brawly style, and the only reason that the Moira Lucio backline works is because you're playing all grouped up together and you're using the Lucio and stuff for quick rotations and mobility. But here the Moira just straight up doesn't fit. Like, the Ana would be much better because you could just dive in and then situate your Ana back here, and you're pretty much almost entirely safe unless they're on dive. Yeah, and it just works better. Other than that, I don't mind this comp. I think it's a pretty good pick for the map. It's similar to ones that we've used historically. But I think we just got a little confused there. I have the comms open in another tab on Chrome, so I might play those if we need to take a closer look at any specific situations. Okay, so right off the bat here, this bubble is kind of iffy because I mean, right off the bat, bubbles aren't going to be very high value because you have the Junkrat and the Symmetra here. But then, like, here, you're bubbling both of the tanks, and bubble you want to use to isolate targets. Yeah, I mean, if you're born to play Moira, and, like, if you're born to play Moira, you're just lost already. Like, it's just... Nobody should be on Moira. It's a cursed hero. Okay, so like right off the bat, the bubble's kind of iffy because like this is playing monkey like a Reinhardt. Like you're playing for this front brawl right now, and that's not really what you want to be doing. Because like for example, if you had sent Spectre over here onto the bridge, or and like Aeon onto the bridge too, you have a lot more movement options, and you can take angles. Because the whole thing with dive is you want to stay apart, play for mobility, set up, get into positions after you scout, and look for a target. And then you dive on them from multiple directions so that it can't be blocked or defended against very easily. So, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who have highest hours on Moira. Personal choice or whatever. I just personally don't like Moira as a character or hero. So, nothing personal. So right off the bat, I think it's kind of a mistake to just all enter from the same point here instead of having anyone go over across. Jinx should be over here too. Like right off the bat, your standard tracer rollout is going to be across and then probably onto point to look for like targets like the Symmetra who's completely open. So like you guys are kind of wasting it by just going for a frontline battle because you know that if they're like you didn't know they would be on Brawl. But you always have to think that, like, there's not really any reason to take the space right here if they're already there as a Brawl comp, because they ran up. Yeah, I don't know who would want a Pocket Rex, so I don't blame you. Jinx got a really good pick on their Ana, though. Like, she was wide open. But the problem is you can't actually just push this, because they don't... You don't have the resources. Like a common mistake with calling for push-ins is you're like, oh, they got a man down, go, 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 go. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily what you do. You can do that maybe if they don't have a tank, because then they don't have the protective resources. But usually what you want to do is you want to go for the slow burn down and don't let them clutch. Because if you let them clutch and you go into aggro, you can just get run over. And if they still have the tank line, their front line isn't actually any weaker until they just get on low HP. So you just play for a slow chip down battle. So Jinx has the right idea here, honestly, because like look at this. This is a really good play. Because right now, the Junkrat is looking at him, the Zarya is looking at him, the Lucio is looking at him. I don't know what the Sim is doing. She's been a bot this entire game. But she would be looking at Jinx if she was like just a little bit over. Whoa, what's this under here? But like right now, this is a 3v1, and Jinx isn't actually engaged hard here, so he can always disengage if he wants, and he's just taking all the pressure off the team. Like this is what you want on Tracer. So Ryan should die here. Like you probably could have engaged a lot harder on him, but at the same time, like that should have been a focused target call. Jinx should have probably called that there was pressure on him, or Spectre should have seen that there wasn't any support for the Rhine, because if Rex had just turned around and pummeled the Rhine from behind instead of focusing on the Sim here, that target focus would have easily collapsed the Rhine. Or, if you had the D.Va fly over here, like if you didn't have both tanks in the same spot. Like having both tanks in the same spot, that's not that useful, honestly, in most situations. Like every single off tank is about taking off angles. Yes, like even Zarya. Like Zarya is most oppressive if you can get her on an off angle or like a soft one. Like yeah, she's not going to be on a hard flank a bunch of the time, but if she can get a small off angle and just shoot around shields, she's devastating. That's why the dudes like Sinatra were so good on Zarya. So like this is way too aggro from Aeon, because see they're down the Ana, but their front line is as strong as ever. They still have all the DPS. Pretty much the only thing you can do to lose a fight where you have a support picked off is feed, because if you have their support dead, you win the endurance battle. So I think Spectre, if I remember right, he called that he couldn't go in to finish off the Rhine. Like he was like Rhine, but I can't finish him off. And then Aeon goes in to try and get it, and it's like, yeah, it's a common mistake, but like anyone going in here would have been feeding because there's still a strong bunker. So like what you probably would have needed to do is you should have killed the Rhine right away at the start, but you need to let Aftershock or no Rex get over to here and weaken up their backline, and then you would soft dive on this side away from the Reinhardt because there's no protection. They don't have the heals. They don't have the like they're all on this one angle. Jinx honestly probably could be pressuring here too. It looks like he's on the turrets, which is fine. But yeah, Aeon, for all practical purposes, I hate to say it, but you threw the fight. And I think, like, I don't want to be hard on specific people, but I'm going to be honest. It was probably a one fight if you guys had just focused down the Rhine at the start and then stayed patient. Like, patience is key. Because then by the time that you get here, they already have the brawl comp, and you guys are just kind of trying to slam into their front line, and that's it. Yeah, and so by now the fight is lost. Like the only situation that this isn't lost is if Jinx and Rex have good communication, and and Jinx clutches it by finishing off these two. It'd be a hard go, but it's maybe doable. But then you'd still have the Ana coming back, which is like something to think about, and the full health Zarya, full charge. Like it's not a one fight. Like you gotta just disengage here. Maybe. No, not really. You're stalling the point isn't gonna get much value here on either, if I'm honest. Yeah, that's a little unlucky. But wasn't too messy of a reset, at least. So, you always have your phases of attacking versus recontesting, or attacking versus defending. So now, before you guys were both attackers, which is like the unique thing to King of the Hill, but now they are on defense, you guys are on offense for this brief phase. Yeah, baby diva main maybe. So right off the bat, you guys have the dive advantage, so you have to look for that Ana because she's like or maybe even the junk. And then you have to take the angles because you guys actually win the spam advantage too. I think I've seen that Sen guy before. I feel like we've seen him in a scrim before or something. But you guys have the spam advantage with the Pharah. Like as long as you're not poking into the junk spam, you guys actually can burn out like a considerable amount of resources. So you could probably just pummel the back line or whatever, even the front line, until the Zarya uses her bubbles, and then from there, Zarya is a feasible dive target too. Like there's plenty of options here. But yeah, like pretty much the one thing you don't want to do is just take a straight up brawl from front line. Like dive is weak against brawl. So what you have to do is you have to make opportunities and you have to find them split up. Fortunately, this team isn't really that good at brawl because their Ana is playing separated. They have the Tracer who's like she's okay, but she's not great in brawl comp unless you're really good. And like even the Zarya here is playing too aggro and too far up. Like you have to play like if they're not in the single compartment of a brawl comp, you're probably going to be able to find isolated targets they'll take advantage of his dive. But yeah, you can't just dive onto the main unit or pressure the main unit front up. So what do? We all go across bridge to pressure it front up. Like even Rex is just focusing on the front line here when he could have rotated all the way around here and be uncontested shooting at the Ana, or uncontested shooting at Ryan's side, or at the Lucio on this wall, or at the Zarya's side. Like this is a complete loss of an angle right here. Like yeah, you can maybe shoot through this tiny window, but that's it. Like otherwise this is still front line. Maybe you get this like similar angles here, but you just don't have the sightlines. You would only play around tower if they have a Widowmaker, or like a long range hit scan who makes this angle dangerous, or even just playing out in the open dangerous. Or like you would even like want to play here. If like I don't know, there's just so many more options. And Jinx, Jinx needs to get on an off angle pronto. Like, he should already be here pressuring Ryan. Or, Lucio, or even dueling the Junkrat. I don't know if he was. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, so he's trying to, but then got forced out by the third tracer a little bit. Kind of unlucky. He had the right instincts, though, so I'll take it. But yeah, you guys need to... Like, your DPS aren't in position. You can't hard engage on this. And look, once again, there's not really any separation going here. He can just back off, and his whole team is here. You're trying to take a frontline brawl battle with a Reinhardt again. Like, I know you guys finished this map, so it's kind of like... Yeah, I'm kind of just, like, poking at, like, holes and stuff. But it wasn't that well played right now. Like, especially when, if you just look past the Reinhardt, this Ana is standing wide open. Like, if you just send Spectre over here, I guarantee you the Reinhardt would turn around, look there, and probably even charge, because that's just Plat Reinhardts. Or even Diamond Reinhardts. Like... And if he doesn't, great. The Zarya's turned around. Lucio's probably turned around. And that means you have only the Rhine here, and you can just beat him up as Tracer and Pharah and Diva. And Monkey just has to survive for like 5 seconds, kill the Ana maybe, and then jump out. Like, it's easy as that. And Tracer probably should have been scouted out. I don't know if Jinx said that Tracer was on the right side, but that should have been something that you guys knew. Doesn't look like they're going to get much value. And does well peeling back. Don't pressure. Yeah, so everyone does a good job peeling back to make sure that when there's pressure in the backline, you can't push in. Unlucky that Tricio that you get picked off on the bridge there. Really, that's just why Moira just isn't that good on this comp, is she doesn't have the mobility or range to keep up with things. Like, if the Ana was, like, if you're on Ana, you would still be back in here in doorway, and there wouldn't have been any change to your positioning realistically. Has a good res, and a good kill from Rex on the Zarya. So now what do you guys have to do? You have to stabilize first of all, because Aeon is almost dead and sleeping. Spectre's almost dead, not sleeping, but he will be sleeping if he jumps in. Yeah, so Moira, it's complicated. So the problem is that a lot of the times people will imitate the comps that they see in Overwatch League and be like, okay, this thing is better. Like, oh yeah, Sigma was better than D.Va and Double Shield. And it's like, well, there's very few times when a hero is just straight up better than another hero at a job. It's usually that at a pro level, you're looking for the specific utilities and play style of that hero. So, like, the reason, like, Bap was used over Moira and Double Shield was because he has the consistent output. Like, because Moira, she has big AoE heals, but it's only for, like, a brief moment, so she just doesn't synergize as well with spam comps. Similarly, in the dive, usually you would go for the Moira Lucio right now, but then you're playing a brawl playstyle. So you're playing, like, kind of like a run up at them, death ball them down. It's really complicated and really hard to play. And for pure dive, it can still kind of work, but realistically, you're probably still going to do better with a Mercy Ana on most pure dives, just because Ana, she heals scattered targets better. Because as dive, you don't want to be grouped up unless you're literally playing it like a brawl comp. So, the Moira, she can't heal the Winston when he jumps in. She can't realistically heal the D.Va if the D.Va's off on an off angle. Can't heal the Tracer if the Tracer's off angling. Can't heal the Pharah. The Moira is literally doing nothing. I'm just going to be straight up honest. Like, does that make sense? And, like, meanwhile, Ana, yeah, you're diveable and you're going to be more alone, but you can heal everybody on the team, and you have the D.Va to peel back for you. So it just makes more sense. But then if you're running, like, the Reaper and the Lucio, then you're playing it like a brawl comp where you're all playing together as the dive, and then you can get the value out of Moira. In a dive mirror, Moira and Lucio might be better, yeah. Like in a dive mirror, a brawly dive comp with the Reaper and the Winston and the Diva and Moira, that is probably going to be another dive comp, like a more mobile one. Well, it depends. If you play it right, it will, because you can probably just run over their front line as long as you play it safe. And yeah, Moira is usually a little safer in the dive mirror just because you can survive and don't have to rely on the peel. But at the same time, probably the yeah, okay, I'll just tentatively say for now that yeah, Moira is usually better in the dive mirror. They're like yeah, sometimes Ana or like Zenyatta might be better, but it's kind of rare. Or it's like niche situations that I wouldn't want to endorse.
Justice reigns from above.
That's a good barrage. I don't mind it. He burns the front line down and opens things up. He could have opened up without the use of barrage probably, but yeah, that's fine. You guys didn't use any more ults. That was a really conservative push in terms of ult economy. Well played. So, from here, they make the swap onto Kree. Realistically, I want Rex probably here. Or... No, I really just want him here. Because if... yeah, realistic Kree. Not like that. That'd be a good username. But since the team is setting up over here for like the dive zone, it'd be better to have Rex here because you always want your spam DPS on an off angle. Because that means as soon as they start trying to pressure from bridge, bam, wham, punch, they have front pressure meeting them there. And then meanwhile Rex is smacking them from behind with Pharaoh rockets. So it's just higher value. Because if he's here, all he's going to be doing is like burning shield and stuff. And yeah, it's useful, but it's not really getting kills, and that's what matters more. My guess is that here you probably didn't actually, like the team probably didn't set up where you're trying to take the engagement because you didn't know yet. But like you want an idea of where you're gonna take the engage. Like you could have Monkey back here even and wait for them to be on bridge, or you could have him here. This is probably where I would play the Monkey, because then as soon as they start walking across bridge, you have the Monkey jump across and start pressuring backline as Diva and Tracer pinch on the front line, and bam, they're just all dead. And if they rotate around, as they probably will, here is where you want to engage them. Like you want to engage people in open spaces when you're on a dive comp, or at least not like open spaces, but you don't want to give them any positional advantage. Like attack them during their rotations and when they're weak. Don't let them get to their strong spots. So you could have once again, Monkey just sits here, dives on the backline as soon as the tanks rotate into here. Tracer rotates in, Diva rotates in, and look, Pharah's already up here. She would have already been able to shoot at them. Like it's a perfect setup. So we'll have to see where they rotate. I'm not going to be looking at the ult tracking right now, but it's probably fine. One more thing though. Ult economy. I don't know if you guys have a plan on what ults to use, but you have 5, and you have to make sure that, and they have 5 too. You know that they just swapped to the McCree, but that's about it. So you need to plan, you need to first of all take this fight really aggro, because it could go really badly if you're not proactive with ults. Second of all, you need a plan on what you're doing with your ults. So here, you'd probably want to start the fight with a Coalescence, and then have Jinx get a pulse bomb kill on the back line. Because like those are like Coalescence is like such a fast farmed ult. Like even on a comp like this, you can still heal up after the fight and get a lot of charge towards it. And You don't need as much planning for like monkey ult. I'm assuming Aeon doesn't have ult. Yeah, he doesn't have ult yet, so.
Gotcha.
Jinx is in way too early. I don't mind the pulse bomb. Like, it's fine to pulse bomb before a fight because it's essentially a stagger kill. But sticking the Ryan was kind of because obviously it doesn't land a kill. And then this timing of it, it's like I said, it's like okay-ish. But really, he should have tried to hit the McCree or Ana with it, or even the junk. So I would have rather him rotate. Well, I would rather have Jinx here too, and then just stick here. Like you just get a slightly better opportunity, and maybe like wait a little longer. Oh, this is awful from Spectre. This is really, 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 really bad miscommunication. Cripplingly bad. He is taking a 6v1 fight. Well, the rest of the team is gone. Like, the rest of the team is nowhere. There's no backup there. He's going to be forced to Primal, and he's going to feed. Yeah, there's the Primal, and he's going to die in one instant. Watch. 1 death, 2 death. Oh. Oh, he survived. But now Jinx is over there pressuring alone, and it's like kind of whatever. But see, you just wasted an ultimate for a play that was absolutely harebrained. Like, I'm being really harsh here, but it was a really bad play, if I'm honest. Like, it was just bad. You ended up spending Primal for 0 value, effectively. And, yeah, they don't have ult charge. Like, they have all their ults, so you at least don't feed ult charge. But that would have been the situation if they hadn't had their ults. That would have been 1,000 free ult charge, too. Yeah, 8 brain is right. Yeah, I don't like, I know I'm being really harsh, especially when I'm also like the same rank of player and I do a lot of mistakes too. But to be fair, I'm just as hard as on myself when I do it. I just think it's more entertaining to roast people, and I like to make it very abundantly clear how bad it was. Okay, so now they're engaging. Spectre had the right idea of engaging on them here, but he should have let them rotate like halfway in first, and everyone else would have needed to be in position. Like, if your team isn't in position, you can't make the quote-unquote optimal play, because then you're doing it alone. Like, it's better to do a less than optimal strategy as 6 players all together than the optimal strategy, but it's only 1 or 2 of you doing it. Like, you need, like, multiple people feeding together is just a bad strategy, but if you're alone feeding, that's just feeding. So now they have the positional advantage. This is what Brawl wants. They love having this single entryway because they can block off all the damage here. So what you guys need to do is honestly probably let them on point. You cannot engage them here. You just cannot. Even like from these side angles, you cannot. It's just too dangerous. Jinx needs to wait out here because he can engage here when the team goes in. But you guys need to let them onto point, if I'm honest. Because on point, there's enough space here that you can at least work with it. You have 2 angles here, 1, 2, instead of 1. So if you let them on point, you might have a decent chance of winning this. That's a good coalescence. See, so Jinx is doing the good choice again. He's getting all the attention here. Oh, their Rhine is feeding. Unlucky that Tristio gets picked here. I mean, I say unlucky once again. It's probably a pick-based choice because if you had been on Ana, you would have been safely back here. Or here. Or here. Or even back here. Instead of like up in the thick of things, not really healing anyone except D.Va. And Aeon's probably going to die here too. Aeon probably should have been on coast and then pressuring with Jinx here. Or maybe even just pressuring the Rhine from beside. So I think they're probably going to win this because you guys tried to stop them right up front. And like, while I like the coalescence there, yeah, I noticed he got killed by the charged bump damage too. I was like, huh, like you must have gotten hit by like a stray McCree body shot or something. But like, trying to take the engagement here was kind of a mistake. Because if you guys hadn't been like in this one doorway and had been further back, if the Rhine had charged in like this, you guys could have just surrounded him instantly. I'm kind of just gonna assume... Okay, that was a good res. Is Aeon dead too? Did he survive? Where is Aeon? Oh, okay, that's when he flies out. Okay, that was a good play by him. Jinx still has all the attention from their backline. Spectre should be able to kill the Zarya here. Does the Zarya whiff the graph? She whiffs it. Okay, you guys have to kill the Rhine here. If you guys don't kill the Rhine here, it's all lost. Like, you can't win this fight if you lose the Rhine, because you don't have the resources. Because dive, like, the resources are very burst. I'm pretty sure your team's resources are all but gone. Like, all gone at this point. See, this is when it would have been nice to have a Primal. It could have just torn through them. Spectre gets booped? No, he just gets killed by the boop, I think.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Огонь по готовности.
Oh, that's just unlucky. Yeah, the Hanzo pressured him. But yeah, that's why I would rather have the monkey not here and like over here. Just because, like, if you had let them onto point, they don't have this sightline here for the Hanzo. They don't have any sightlines, period. And you can even bait the Rhine over here and then their Ana can't see them. There's just a lot more options.
Justice reigns.
See, Barrage was a mistake. It's not winnable. You have 1, 2, 3 left on 4 left from the enemy team. You guys have 4 as well, but they have a main tank and you don't. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's okay, but it's kind of sus. Because the problem is, like, look at this. You guys used Diva Bomb now, and you use Barrage. But then where does that leave you for last fight? You lose last fight either way. Because you don't have the ults. These are your only 2 ults. You might get Primal and Pulse Bomb for last fight, but those are not the fights that you want to have your last fight resting on. Meanwhile, you know they're going to have Shatter, and probably Grab again, honestly, by the time you have last fight. So yeah, you guys should get the win now, but it was probably really costly. Clean up, clean up, clean up. Unlucky that the Ana gets away. See, I don't mind this from Spectre and Jinx. This is good. This is not as good. You don't need the Diva to come with just to kill a single Hanzo. Really, you don't need the Moira to come with to get a single Hanzo too. Spectre and Jinx should have just called, we're gonna kill Hanzo, and then just gone for it. Heck, even the Monkey or just the Tracer would be enough. Because now what you're granting them is, look, they have a free rotation to point here. You let them get past this one rotation spot. You let them get past this initial rotation spot. And now they have point. Like, yeah, so now you have to take them on point, like I was saying, or like in that other battle. But ideally, you don't want to have them get to point at all. Like, you want to take them out here, or take them out here as dive. Like, catch people in rotations, not when they're already bunkered up or whatever. So, kind of weird, kind of sus. I don't love that everyone just went so out of position to get a single Hanzo. Like, yeah, great target focus, yada yada, but like, hey, look at this, look at this. Angles, angle, angle, angle. This is what I love to see. And look at their attention. Ryan is looking this way, Ana's looking this way, Lucia's looking this way, Zarya's looking this way. They have no idea where to look. And my guess is we'll probably win this fight because of it. Unless they get a big shatter. Or if someone feeds. Okay, Jinx fed. That was quick. He just went into aggro on the Rhine. Yeah, and they have the McCree ult, so once again, they used an ult to get the value there. Really, I don't love the fact that Rex was on point. That was kind of dumb. Because even if you're not, like, you don't need to be on point to just spam down the lane. Or spam down the lane here. You're just kind of, like, there's no reason for it. Just kind of iffy. And then you guys pretty much just call for the reset, I think, which is fine. But see, if you guys hadn't given them the free rotation and hadn't, and had taken the angles just a little more patiently, you probably would have won this. And now their team is playing like a brawl spam hybrid now, with the Hanzo, Kree, and Ana being kind of spammy-ish, especially the Hanzo though, and the Ana. So realistically, now you have 2 targets to look to dive, so it's even weaker to dive. You can probably just like jump here as Winston, poke at them a little, tickle them. They'll all think that you're coming from here, and then you just loop around and jump on the McCree or something, and they'll all just crumble. That was kind of stupid. Like, your team isn't engaging yet. Rex, you shouldn't be poking. It's just as simple as that. You're not going to get your... Like, you might get your ult before last fight, but realistically, compared to dying and using up res, having a barrage is not as valuable. Like, yeah, it's fine. You might think you might not be able to get picked off here, but the risk of you getting picked off still just completely outweighs it. Yeah, so now you guys don't have res, which means you're essentially down a player. This is sweaty. This is sweaty. It's only acceptable because Spectre has Primal, because the problem is, well, there's not really any problem with it. It's just really scary because he went in for even like that brief moment that he went in without everyone. He's already down to like no health because that's just Winston now. It might have been good to give Jinx a little more time to actually get onto the off angle, because it doesn't really make a difference what point progress they get here, because 74% is like the same as 90% because it's still final fight probably. But it's fine because he has Primal, so he has a bailout. I like the Coalescence here. Varus positioning is fine here, especially because they have his scan. It's fine to play closer to the... Actually, it's not even that close to the tower. This is kind of sus still. Diva just keeping the monkey alive is like, yeah, fine, whatever. Probably just matrixing the Hanzo. What ults did they have? They used Dragons, Shatter, Nano. But yeah, look at this. Their attention is still all totally scrambled. Like, the Rhine lands the Shatter. It's a really key Shatter. It hits really important targets. But then, like, his team is just scrambling because of a Primal Winston and a Tracer. There's no one's follow-up. This wasn't a really good Shatter. Yeah, so he gets the Moira with it, and that's about it. And, like, yeah, you get the Hanzo Dragon Strike coming in. Kind of whatever still. And see? As soon as everyone looks at the Shatter now, because it's badly timed, and people are like, oh, shoot, I should follow up on it. Bam. Hanzo dies because he ulted in the middle of points while there's stuff going on around him. Ana dies because she's like, shoot, I have to nano our Ryan to keep him alive and heal him. McCree is going to die in a moment because he's probably looking over here, and Jinx should be able to run him over, honestly, and Rex, too. Like, they're Ryan through this fight for their team. Yeah, right. There goes the Kree. And then there's Ryan and Zarya all alone and sad. That Ryan Shatter through, straight up through. What he should have done is he should have called Shattered its whiff, because no one can follow up on that Shatter. Like, he got the Fire Strike kill with the Moira. Do not ask for more. Like, he could not ask for more. You guys played that fight fine. It was like, yeah, it was a little sus at the start just in terms of the engagement, just because I didn't like how balls to the walls it was. But it was a pretty good engagement. You guys took angles during the fight. I don't know if it was intentional, but you did. and use ults in a decent manner. And yeah, I mean, I'll take it.
It's high noon.
Yeah, things are dying pretty quick here. Looks like you guys have a fine target focus.
Nerf this.
Score 0-1. Ready for battle. Five, four.
I'm gonna be back in 1 minute. Okay, and we are back. Let's get down to business to defeat with puns.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Comps. Your guys' comp is fine. I don't really like the Sombra here because she's just not very brawly, and Control Center is like literally just the one brawliest map in all of Overwatch. But like you probably could have just done Junk or Sim here and it would have just done better, or May, or any of those, yeah. But Sombra's like fine, it's kind of whatever. Their comp is just straight up worse. They have the Ana here. That's kind of a bot pick on Control Center when you could choose a Moira. Torb is fine. He's pretty much just Reaper, but different flavor. And Ashe is kind of weird here too. There's a couple angles for it to take, but just gonna be a little harder to play things in. See, she has the right idea because she's taking this angle here because she knows that there's so few angles in this white room. The other option would have been to go point. And then right here, this is a pretty juicy off angle. Or even, you can even go all the way to here. And this is pretty juicy because sometimes the support line will back up to here. And they're entirely exposed. You guys pretty much just run at them. Is what I'm hoping. Spectre gets slept. Unlucky. Yeah, just run at them, run at them. Spectre makes the right choice to just keep shielding here. That's what you have to do so that they can't clutch it. But yeah, you just run them over. They don't have the brawl power.
The objective is now active.
Rex probably fed there with too much aggro. Or no, he was down here, never mind. I thought that was someone else. yeah, a good choice, Tricio and Jinx coming up to the top. That's a good play. Huge stagger. That's honestly why Lucio is just so good with Brawl still. Like, as he gives that speed boost that you need with Brawl, but he also gives you a little more high ground control and like ability to chase down people. And Brawl does not have that at all normally. So like it's just further cements Lucio as like the Brawl healer of choice. Like you don't really need either of those things with Dive either. Which is why it's kind of funny that you have the Moira Dive now with Lucio. It's mostly just that he's self-sufficient and doesn't want to that doesn't need peel. So now you guys can probably push all the way up to here. Reaper really should just be here with Spectre. Like right now, he's been forced to Wraith out because he's poking from a separate angle and too early. So now that's a ton of frontline pressure that's just completely gone. So it's kind of a little off. Good coalescence from Dodal. I don't know why Jinx is still in invisibility. This is just botting. This is useless. This is a fight happening here. Like, and having him invisible waiting here is just being a 5v6 fight. Or I guess it's a 5v5 because the Ashe is still respawning. But like as Sombra, there's a reason that you don't translocate out super far from fights. It's because you have to be still in the fight. Like if you translocate out super far from a fight, it's as good as being dead. Same with just waiting for invisibility here. Like I get he's looking for an opportunity or whatever for a perfect hack. But if he had just been spamming the Rhine from this off angle, that's a lot more pressure on the Rhine than a hack would be potentially. Yeah, like he would have died either way as you guys rushed him. This is super awful. Spectre needs to get out. His barrier broke. He needs to get out. He should have, like even at 200 health, he should have been backing out. Like you cannot go this. I think he dies here. Yeah, this was an awful feeding play. Right idea, but as soon as you cannot push out through this doorway or even into it, because even into it, this is like an inch of thickness in the wall that you're just setting yourself up for a death trap. Like even the amount of time it takes to get from here to here is enough that you could take like 600 damage as tank. So now, I think I remember you guys being in kind of an awkward situation because you think you have to back off because you don't have your main tank. One of the worst places to kite back in any map is right here. This is an awful kite spot because it's just a single long hallway. There's just no easy escapes because like if you go here, they probably have someone off lane going here. If you go here, you're just out of position and get chased down and you have to rotate all around to get back in. Like it's just awful. So you have to, first of all, you have to have Spectre not die. But second of all, if you're here, you either take the fight here or you back off decisively to play point. So really, you could probably, like you have a ton of time until they respawn. You can check your tab and I think it shows the enemy team that's there. Where was the... Did it bounce all the way over here? Classic skill orb. Kind of cursed, not gonna lie. Okay. It's like that, right there. Ashe died late. They can't push in without the Ashe. You guys are completely fine. You don't have to call to go back because I think you're ferrying Ryan back, which is the right choice. That's what you should be doing. Yeah, so okay, so yeah, this is a good choice to rotate back here, because even as they're regrouping, they still like have everyone back now, and you guys don't. So yeah, this is a smart choice to fall back and regroup at point. Somehow, though, they're just so slow with getting back together. Oh, it's the Ashe again. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, they couldn't push in without the Ashe. So, yeah. Yeah, this is played fine. It was fine rotations. I like the choice to push back up here. Aeon used his personal bubble before a fight, which is kind of probably from being too aggro. Reapers with Spectre, I like that. I would straight up shatter the Torb even, or yeah, okay. So we only have shatter. Ideally here, I'd want to build beat and just go for a hard rush probably. Though they already actually have beat, so we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, see, kiting back here, look at how dead everyone is. And suddenly everyone's back here. Shatter goes for Spectre goes for a shatter here. No one can follow up on it. Like, this is like, there's nothing. The team is already back here. This is a terrible place to kite back because you can't re-engage, you can't disengage, you just burn resources. I don't know what Jinx is still doing. He's not going to get anything here. He needs to be building EMP. So like if he had been out here, look at that assassination on the Ana. Actually, I don't know why there's Zarya's beaming there, maybe spy checking, but still. Or even just poking at the Ana, or poking at the Zarya. Like there's a ton of options here. Juicy Shatter, terrible charge. Because once again, no one's in position to follow up. Jinx is still doing who knows what. Even with the Lucio, Aftershock and Aeon and Dodal can only get there so fast. Like, my guess is Spectre probably dies here. Yeah, he dies here. That was a great attempt to beat him. But, yeah, I guess Jinx is just doing Jinx things on the flank. But, that was a great attempt to beat him. That was the right play, just unlucky that Spectre died that quickly. That's another one of the situations where he should have just been like, I whiffed the charge, leave it. Wasted the ult, better to not waste your life too. Because if you waste your life, you lose the fight. If you waste the ult, it's still fine. You didn't actually commit anything. Like, yeah, you lose an ult, which is awful in itself, but you're not feeding at least, so you still might win the fight. Oh yeah, I've done that so many times with the wall ring before to beat, because then you just sit there in the air trying to land it and it's too long. I've done that so many times and it hurts my soul every time it comes down to the wire and ends up losing someone because of it. And it's not a bad idea, honestly. It's a bummer that it's slidey though. It was a good idea to try and land it a little quicker. Yeah, your team should just get run over here. Yeah, they use Shatter, run you over. So pretty much that entire fight was just because of Spectre's charge and Shatter, and because of your team trying to kite back. This Grav, I didn't mind the Grav when it was from Aeon's point of view, but really the fight was just lost as soon as Spectre died. So really there shouldn't have been any more ults invested after beat. It's unlucky because, yeah, it looked pretty good and I thought that there were some low people there and that maybe it was actually clutchable. I think I might have gone for a similar Grav too. It's not a good Grav and it's not the right choice. But I understand the feeling of wanting to go for that one. It only works though when it's like 2 people, because when you have like 4 people in the Grav in a clutch Grav, you can't actually get the kills because then they all bunker up and focus fire on you too much. Would have been better just stick to point here. And look at this, we reached Grav before EMP. We reached Shatter and a quarter before EMP. We're at the same pace with Death Blossom. We reached a whole beat before EMP. And Coalescence has been a little... Or no, this is our second Coalescence, isn't it? So 2 Coalescences before EMP. So pretty much everything before EMP. Jinx needs to be more aggro on the Sombra. And not like feeding aggro, but like charging EMP aggro. Because like you don't always have to be just sitting around waiting for the perfect hacks. You can assassinate. Play her more like Tracer. Like, play the aggro, for the aggressive fight, farm on the tanks, Like, there's so much more value from EMP and stuff, and if you're just always looking for that opportune moment, then yeah, like, you just have to be applying pressure. Like, farming EMP is like a key thing in a Sombra, and right now, honestly, I don't think that was getting it fast enough to merit having her. And note that all these ults are coming online when we're at 64% of point control already. So, like, realistically, those ults were only going to be used once at the rate that they're being charged. And it's kind of like if the enemy team hadn't capped it all. So, let's see how the re-engage happens. I don't know what was up with Jinx. He should have had Translocator out, probably. This is fine, regrouping. So now, the comps. You guys have the Sombra and the Reaper. Pure Rush, plus an EMP. They have a Spam and Brawl hybrid. So you guys, if they're on off angles, you need to clear out the off angles. But fortunately, they're not. Look at this Ashe. Look at her. She's a bot. She's just shooting, doing it down main. What she should be doing probably is I would even be up here as Ashe, because look at this free kill. Right onto Rex. Right onto Utrucio. Right onto Dodal even. Pressure Spectre. And by the time that you run after her as Lucio, because no one else can pursue except maybe Jinx, she could already coach gun back here and be back here, and then she gets bubbled by Zarya, and then she's totally fine, and your team is split, and yeah, and by then it's probably already lost. Or, even better, their team would just aggressively engage while their Ashe is up here, and she doesn't even need to run because you guys are all dead. So what needs to happen here is Jinx needs to go around left and EMP this. Because EMP here, you just run them over. They can't kite back, remember. The fight is going to happen here. And you need to get the EMP because you're not going to get it from the front. Like, you have to EMP from an off angle or flank. So I would assume that you guys coalescence here, which I'm fine with. You would have to predict Grav and either be more proactive or just do a dry push, though. So we'll kind of see what happens. I think this is when they Grav and Torb ult. So the problem is you guys are pushing in, like Aeon's pushing in aggro here, probably just thinking he can go charge, but wow, she's like doing like a hard lunge here. But really, you shouldn't be engaging because you need this Sombra here so that you can proactively engage before they use their ults. Because, for example, if you waited like completely out here so that they're not getting any more ult charge, not getting right to use ults or anything, get Sombra here, and then bam, EMP, everyone rushes in with Coalescence, they're all dead. And it's 71% on the points. They might just not even cap again. They might just not even get a chance to use those two ults. And that's the power of aggressive play in Overwatch. Yeah, so Jinx is like, it looks like he was thinking through that. It's too late because Spectre and Aeon got like a little too, I'm not gonna say aggro because they weren't engaging, but they both were like towing the line a little too much when the DPS wasn't in position, when there was literally no reason to be towing the line. And then they bait in the ults, and it's like, yeah, whatever. And then, yeah, Coalescence isn't going to be able to heal through that. There's a ton of spam damage, Torbolt. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, you guys choked this map. Because from here, it's a one fight, and they had 0% on point. So you lost the first fight, you still get 2 more fights out of this. And you only have to get 1 to win. And that should have been a pretty easy map win in theory. So from here, I am praying that you just EMP aggressively, run them over, save Death Blossom because you don't even need it. Because the thing is their tank line is going to be dead as soon as they're EMP'd. And then you don't need Death Blossom because you're on the front line and you can't actually close that distance. So you might as well just use it for the recontest because 71%, I call it that it's final fight, but really it's you still get a scrappy fight at the end if you're at 71%. So no, yeah, no, this was badly timed. It was right in idea, but bad in execution. Yeah, I mean, Coalescence and Amp are good, but yeah, Torb's ult is just straight up lava, and there's all the other damage stacked on top of it, so I'm not really surprised. Like, Coalescence's healing, if I'm honest, isn't that high. Like, it's good, but it's not great. So here's the problem here, Spectre. Once again. Like, I'm calling out Spectre a lot because he's the main tank, and main tanks have a lot of bearing on what the team is doing. Like, yeah, there's non-optimal plays from everyone, but a lot of it is going to come down to tank play. And this is bad. You cannot push in, because look, right here, this is such an easy EMP. You literally just pop out here, bam, EMP, or go through here, bam, EMP. But, like, look, you guys are trying to push in before Jinx is ready, before he's in position to actually EMP. And he EMPs, but by the time he EMPs, Spectre's shield is down. You've used Aeon's ally bubble. I think his personal bubble is used too. Spectre's on low HP, and then he dies because of it. Like, look at this. Look at all these resources being used before the EMP. And Rex is taking, frankly, a stupidly obvious teleport. And he's probably just going to get slapped. He shouldn't need to teleport. It should just be EMP the tanks, run at them. It's simple. It sounds simple. It is simple. You just wait, EMP, run. Yeah, he gets slapped. And now the EMP comes, but by now it's too late. Like, look at this. You guys are, like, the main tank is dead. You ran past the Reinhardt for some reason and ran past the Ana. I don't know what Spectre is doing. Why is he still trying to run at a Zarya that's hacked instead of these guys behind him? And Aeon has the right focus here. Dodal and Tricio, you guys have the right focus. Rex is wraithing out because he was slept, I think. No, he's back in. Like, right off the bat, Spectre is dead here, and you guys aren't at point yet, and that's probably a lost fight, realistically. Because he's probably going to shatter here and kill like 3 of you guys or something. Oh, okay, so I'm glad that he dies at least. But look, spam comp. Spam comp. Frankly, a spam comp when she's at high charge, and a Lucio. All they have to do is back off point, take angles, and you guys don't have your main tank. You have nothing to protect, like, to close off any of these angles, and you're completely outranged. There's no way you can close off that kills. If you had just taken out the tanks, everything would have collapsed with it. There goes Rex. I imagine you just all died to Ashe. See, this isn't winnable. It's a 4v3, and you guys are already low on resources and low on health. Aeon should have been out. Like, he shouldn't have contested this. Dodal shouldn't have contested this. Tricio shouldn't have contested this. You and Dodal, it's less criminal because Aeon, but because Aeon needs to keep his charge. Like, Aeon losing his charge here is pretty rough. I don't know how much charge he had, and I think Spectre makes a call to disengage. But really, first of all, it should have been 1 in the first place if you guys had just waited for EMP. Second of all, it just shouldn't have been a fight that you guys took, like, until, like, as soon as Spectre died. Yeah, because now they're just getting extra time, and there's no way you're going to win that. They waste Shatter for some reason, but, like, look. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Like, it's still a disadvantaged fight. It's a 5v5, but you guys don't have a main healer now, and they do. Or no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never mind, it's a 6v5, so you guys don't even have a numbers even. You're just dead. And I think here's where Spectre calls to disengage. Another wasted grab. They waste beat because they're stupid. Their Rhine was in no danger. Neither was their Zarya. They're just stupid. If they had kept their beat, that would have been even more on top of the cake. And they nanoed him for some reason. And it's not even final fight. They didn't need either of those, or they maybe could have done just one if they needed it. That's because of bad communication on their part. We still need to get out. And they forcibly make us get out. Good retreat, Trusio. This I don't like. I know that it was like kind of like a let's get last touch thing. But at the same time, when you have 10% left, you guys probably could have just sprinted through to point without you having to go on the flank. But really the person who should be doing this touch is Jinx. I don't know. Let's check where he was, because he shouldn't have died. Yeah, see, this was a lost fight. If he had just gotten out and had a translocator in place like over here, he should have been the one to touch to trigger overtime, because you have beat. You need to be with the team when you have beat and it's in a clutch situation. You have the only ult on the table for all practical purposes, because you can't shatter like this early and have a high impact. Coalescence isn't up yet. Beat had to be the engagement tool, and by like going around all the way to the flank to get ready for the touch, I don't mind it like usually, but the problem is Lucio, the rest of the team can't close the distance without you. They're too slow. So what's probably going to happen is you die here after triggering overtime, and then the rest of the team just gets run over and choke. Yeah, see, Spectre dies. He doesn't have the defensive ult or anything to close the distance. They lack the heals and speed to do anything. And you just die, and then Jinx is over here. Like, this is where he should have been all along. And look, it's not even 97% yet. Jinx could have touched anyways. Like, it's better to just... I would rather have no one touch points than a lost fight because you tried to touch point, if that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about that.
Do something! Hey.
Score 1-1. Ready for battle. Five, four, three, two, one.
Comps. You guys have a fine comp. I would rather have the Reaper here than the McCree. There's not really any reason to run the McCree, if I'm honest. He's okay, because McCree is like kind of always okay-ish, but he's not great. Their team is just the same as ever, except it's stronger on this map, their comp, because it has long sight lines. Like on Brawl, or I mean on I call it Brawl, but on Control Point or Control Center, there's no long sight lines. Even on Gardens, the sight lines are pretty short. That's like why Widow isn't that great on Gardens. But here they have the sight lines to use Dash potentially, and because there's no thing in the middle of point, so you actually can get a clear shot onto point, and then you have this large open area too. So it's a lot stronger of a comp here on this point. Meanwhile, your guys' comp is just fine. Like, it's whatever. It's same old, same old. So we teleport in. How do they get there at the same time as you guys when you teleport it, though?
Ready for battle. 5, 4, 2, 1.
Jinx and Doe will just a little slow through the teleporter. Nah, whatever. Turret placements are fine. Usually you would put one here and then like two here so that they look at the one turret and then while getting burned by two. Jinx is fine. I'm glad that he's by a wall. Spectre is fine. I would usually just play the middle pillar. The rest of you guys are getting burnt alive. Pocket Rex. I'm hoping that Total heals Rex. Because 90% of this comp is pocket the Symmetra. That is literally what you're just doing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a mistake as much as just a misconception. Just because, oh, you mean here with why it, was slower? Oh, that would make sense. Good to know. Yeah, so, yeah, you just have to watch out for that, because, like, with Lucio, obviously, every little bit of speed matters. Jinx gets a good pick off here. There, Ashe is a bot. Why did she go up there? That's feeding. There, Ashe is... Okay, so yeah, that's a Plat Ashe for you. From here, you make the right choice to back off. Dodo probably needs to heal you. Or, okay, that's fine to just heal yourself. It's even fine if you amp this, honestly, because... Well, I would rather you didn't. Okay, it looks like you didn't, so that's good. I don't know why Rex isn't all the way up here on our Rhine already and, like, melting these dudes. Like, Rex is, like, playing, like, spam dude here. Yeah, they need to be melting. So this is what, yeah, this is what you want. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful. Like, this comp, you just pocket the sim, and then run them over. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. So, yeah, there was just a little bit of speed loss then. This was stupid. Like, no, it's not stupid. I like it, but then the problem is not on this comp, if that makes sense. Because you're playing, like, a closer range brawl where you have to pocket the Symmetra, but if the person who's pocketing the Symmetra, aka the Reinhardt, like, there's two people pocketing the Symmetra. You have the Moira pocketing the Sim and Rhine, and then the Rhine pocketing the Sim. So it's like that own little brawl unit. And then if the, like, half of the pocket here is gone, who's gonna follow up on this damage? And it's like the best of what happens here probably is Spectre shatters from here, gets 5, you guys run at them, and hopefully everyone dies, but my guess is probably people won't. I don't know why he's going so close. He should have just straight up shattered, like, immediately almost. Yeah, see, what is this? He only catches the Rhine in it. So what you guys need to do now is kill the Rhine and get out. Get out. Do not go in. Wait, how did the Rhine not die? How did the Rhine not die? I like Jinx being up here. This is a good position for him. Except, because you guys are going for the weird flank shatter, it doesn't work, so I'm glad he dropped back down. See, Spectre should already have dropped down to here. Like, you should not have been up there this long, because, like, look, he would have shattered 3 right here. And then by that time, Ryan turns around, you guys just run at his back. These guys are still down, Spectre kills all of them, and you guys kill the Ryan. It's easy, simple, beautiful, elegant. But then look at what happens. Spectre is still dropping. And then this angle by now, the only dude in it anymore is Ryan. Because he's, like, he went too close. Like, he's not taking the wide angle. And they're backed off now because you guys used Coalescence. So there's just less targets. It's still fine just hitting the Rhine. But then what happens here? He charges the Rhine. Where's the focus fire? Jinx, where's Jinx? Why was, so Aeon died early to I don't know. Wait, I need to watch now again, once again, for like the third time. Where was Aeon? Why was... So yeah, Shatter was too early. No one was there to... Like, it was simultaneously too late and too early. Because it was too early for the positioning of the team, but too late to actually be an optimized Shatter for your team to follow up on, because their team is already retreating. And kind of just bots in, just like sometimes you do that, but like if you're at this low of health, you cannot go in. You just can't. Like Aeon should have just hugged this corner or gone wide so that this wall is here and then just spammed. But no, he like tries to go right into the tunnel of fun here with all the spam, and yeah, that's why you want your off tank on the off angle, is because you're not going to get pummeled to death there. But their Rhine needed to die there, honestly. Spectre is now dead. Or, okay, he doesn't die, but then it costs the life of Sim and Jinx to get him out. So, it is like, it worked, but it was such a sloppy fight. It could have been more elegant. And it could have been just cleaner and less dangerous. I don't know what you're doing. I don't really care. It's probably fine. I would have even loved if you had assassinated the Ashe, maybe, but whatever. Just you just have to think about the risk versus reward. You probably made the right call to just go back to the team, but I'm a Reddit Lucio, so I probably would have just tried to like kill the Ashe or something stupid. This is miscommunication. Aeon's at front corner. Spectre's at back corner. Spectre needs to decide if he's holding up here or if he's holding back here. And if he's holding back here, Aeon needs to have been kited back here 10 seconds ago. Same with Rex and Jinx. Jinx might actually just straight up get caught out here. What is Jinx doing? Please tell me he gets out of here. Please, 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 please. No, there's no way he gets out of here. He's dead. He's dead. Aeon barely escapes with his life. I think he had to use his personal, and he's already at half health. Jinx is just straight up feeding. I am shocked that he got out of there alive. I am incredibly shocked that he got out of there alive. That was a miracle. Spectre should just shield this. You block the nut with the shield. Unlucky. Can't block all the shatters. Yeah, okay, so they just wailed on you with two big ults, and then they use beat. I'm not gonna care about your beat because it sounded like you pressed it before knowing that they were pressing beat. Ideally, I wouldn't have wanted to use our beat because we are already two ults down. And like, if we had known that they'd draw out their beat too, then it's like, I would have just left it even more, because then they would have used 3 ults for none of ours. But it's kind of whatever. It's like, it's a fine beat. You guys were still actually all up, so I don't actually even mind it. It's actually still a winnable fight. I'm just being really pessimistic.
It's high noon.
This is a really questionable high noon. He should have been out here probably. Because like the problem is if you're out here, you have those sightlines closed down and he could just single-handedly break the Rhine shield. But if he's here, he's completely exposed to the Ashe and the Torb. Like I would almost imagine the Ashe just peeks out and pegs them and he probably just dies here.
Drop.
And he doesn't even die to the Ashe, he just straight up dies to the Coom. Their Lucio's redditing. He's kind of being a bot. It's fine though, like he's not doing great. Spectre, Aeon, Rex, Tricio, Doggle, all in position. It's fine. But yeah, see, if Rex had been out here, he would have been on a really nice off angle shooting the Rhine from behind. He didn't even need to use High Noon. He could have just waited out here. And honestly, the Lucio probably would have redded it over here instead. And then you could have just stunned him and killed him. Spectre gets antied. Unlucky. That was a huge bubble. Awful, 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 awful charge. My head is down in my hands because of that charge. That just lost the fight. It was fine. It was winnable with patience. But see, now everyone is low. There's no protection. You are charging in when you were low. You just straight up die. You trade Rhines, but then you trade for more than just the Rhine. You trade for everyone who is behind your Rhine too. Like, they're not behind their Rhine. They were a spam comp. They don't need to be behind their Rhine. But you need to pocket the Symmetra. You pocket the Symmetra and you win. You had your Symmetra still. She was alive. You could have even used Barrier that fight. If Spectre hadn't charged in, bam, Barrier down the middle of point, laser them down. Play it slow. Play it slow. Play it slow. Like, you don't have the resources. Do not push in when you don't have the resources. Just be patient. So yeah, you guys lose a very winnable fight, but that's like kind of fine, whatever. See? One fight again. One fight territory. So like, you guys are consistently outplaying them and just playing better overall. Like, you defend the objective well. You have a good first attack every time pretty much. Except for Gardens, ironically, being the one that you won. And then you just choke it on the last fight, essentially. No. No. Yeah, no. They're gonna expect it when, like, you're on the sim comp. I remember, Rex was like, oh yeah, I'll switch off sim. And then Spectre's like, no, 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 you have wall. And it's like, yeah, you have wall, and that's fine. I don't mind saving sim for wall, even though wall is a pretty low value ult, and you could probably swap despite having wall. But I don't really love this. What I think I would have rather even done is pushed out into main, and then you just teleport to behind this center pillar, because then you like at least close this distance without burning resources or something, and maybe get a little more surprise factor. Like, you can put a teleporter down right here, and they can't even see that it's put down probably. So, like here, they're all gonna be watching for it. Heck, the teleporter's at 1/4 HP, and no one's even teleported through it. So, teleporter just barely doesn't die because of the chaos. But like, look, only 3 people had teleported in, and the teleporter had 1 HP. Like, that was a really scary situation. Rex whiffs the wall. Unlucky. And, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the story of it. Jinx dies because he goes on to point. McCree should not be on point. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, that's what I was saying when he should be over here. This is an open space. Their Ashe shouldn't be on point. Their Ana shouldn't be on point. Their Torb shouldn't be on point. Well, maybe Torb on point. But, like, you don't want these long-range spammy characters, like even McCree. You don't want them on point. Yeah, like, scouting is fine. I think that's a good idea. Like, I remember... Like, you guys had the time for it, so it's fine. Like, I was kind of, like, shaking my head at it, I think, when I saw Aeon's recording, and you were like, oh, I'm gonna go scouting. And I was like, well, I'm like, well, you don't really need to scout because it's King of the Hill, and they're literally just going to be on one spot. Like, there's nowhere for them to go. They're either here, here, or here. And if you come to here and you don't see them, then it means they're here. And if you come to here and don't see them, then they're here. Actually, if you come to here and don't see them, you can see them. Like, there's literally nowhere else that they can be. So, but you should have taken it slower, yeah, more patiently. There was no rush. You had 18%. You could have just sat outside building ults, honestly, or something. Like, there's no rush. It was a sloppily done engage. I think it was probably a good idea for you to scout and just take time, because it, like, slowed down the pace, except that no one apparently did anything. And I think you were still, like, kind of out doing stuff or whatever while they engaged too, which made it even worse. So yeah, patience, patience, patience. Knowing what to expect, like, they should already expect that everyone's just gonna run over the teleporter. It would have been better to just use the wall, like right down the middle, and just run in with wall, than to teleport in with wall. I don't mind the Hanzo swap here. I think it's fine. But really, Jinx should be here. Because look at this. Wide open. Wide open. Wide open. Wide open. Like, you don't even have to be in the sightline of those dangerous heroes. You can just kind of peek at here and then burn them down. Like, frontline is just kind of eh. Because Spectre's probably going to get run over by the spam damage before you guys can hard engage. Yeah, there comes a grab. I don't like this grab, but it gets out their shatter.
Team kill.
But see, now it's one fight. Looks like you guys have the habitual thing of choking the first 2 or 3 fights. Yeah, see, Spectre is just walking into all this spam damage. He's not going to live, probably. He's forced back. Rex is forced back. Once again, you're wall riding here with beat. I don't mind going in for the touch, but you have beat. We were at 85% when you were over here. You guys could have just straight up just run in for the win during that time. And then, but now you're in a 5v6. Yeah, and you don't even get to use beat because you just die and then everything collapses. And yeah, they don't even get to touch because they can't. So yeah, I'm gonna be back in 1 minute again, and then I will hit us with a summary of that map, and then maybe move on to the next. So I'm probably gonna make the next one way shorter because I went really in deep on this. Okay. Uh, since you are the only person here, any preferences on Volskaya versus Hollywood for looking at the map? Okay, Volskaya it is. Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a train wreck from the start. I'm probably gonna rewatch it on my own, but I spend too long on VOD reviews, so it would probably I'd probably stall out if I just sat there looking at it. Or like if I did another one on stream. This one I'm gonna try and keep down to like 30 minutes if I can. Okay, speedrunning it. Comps. Standard dive comp. It's fine. Once again, I don't love the Moira Lucio with the mobile DPS. It's fine. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, this is awful or something, but maybe the Ana would have been more valuable. I don't know. This is kind of like a small thing. Yeah, I might. I always could roast Hollywood sometime like separately. Their comp. It's a straight up spam comp. They have the Torb, the Zen, the Ana. So it's a spam and brawl hybrid. So you guys need to play around it like it's a brawl comp and play it slow and looking for the isolated targets. My guess is what you guys need to do is probably just rotate around. They should just let you rotate in for free. And then you just kind of play for the slow. Their Ryan is probably going to rotate after you, and then that opens up their backline. Yep, there's the free rotation. See, they let you rotate in for free. Spectre poked too early. He shouldn't have taken that much damage early on. He didn't need to go up here. There's no one up here. He could have just been down here. Or he didn't really need to jump, period. Genji's behind. Peel back and kill the Genji. He's all alone. There's your isolated target. Somehow no one calls for him though. And Rex is poking too early. Like way too early. See, he's alone. And bam. Look, he already had to use recall before the fight. Zarya is in you guys. She is in you. Isolated target. Aeon and Spectre are sleeping on the job. Chisio, you need to be screaming, practically, when the Zarya is feeding like this. Like say, like, Zarya is in our team feeding. Like, you don't have to be, like, literally screaming, but make it very clear that Zarya is, like, in the back, like, your team feeding. Because then Spectre turns around, jumps on the Zarya. Rhine is too slow. Ana would have her heals blocked off by Spectre's bubble. And voila, Zarya is dead. The two key picks you can get in any composition is always going to be the flex support, always going to be the off tank. Because if you kill the flex support, that's usually their main heal's gone. Or like whatever their main healer is. Or if it's like a Mercy Zen, then like picking off Zen can be really big. But like off tank is always the biggest pick you can get. Because the off tank is the glue that holds the team together. So look at this. So Zarya survives. Spectre's doing who knows what. Your team has no plan. There's no game plan. There's no game plan. And it's not just scouting, because you already had resources forced. This is fun. This is really well done. That was really good isolation. It was messy at the start, but then as soon as you guys actually figured out a plan, this was really good isolation. You found the isolated Torb and the isolated Zen. The rest of the team was too far. Ana's standing out in the middle of a point now, and you guys all just rushed them. Beautiful, beautiful. And their Rhine is feeding. He shouldn't be able to get the pick on Aeon. Aeon should have just stayed inside. You guys have control of this room. He might actually die now, but you are feeding here potentially. You should probably just be on wherever Spectre is. Yeah, you get the kill on Ana. Should be able to... Oh my gosh, you guys are the most anti-clutch people I've ever seen. I'm being really ironic because I've seen Houston Outlaws and the Philadelphia Fusion, so I've definitely seen more anti-clutch things, but this was extremely anti-clutch. You guys had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 4. Yeah, it was 6 versus 4. Aeon feeds because he should have stayed inside. There was no reason to fly out dramatically. Like, yeah, usually you would do that as Diva to escape, but there's no, like, you don't need to escape. You can just chill behind here. Or here, let me like start this from like all the way at the start of this kill. Okay, right here. Right here. This is beautiful. This is where we want it to be for now. I'm gonna slow this down to 7.5. Okay, right here, Aeon just stays still, or even flies up the stairs. Like, look at this. He's at a quarter health still. That's fine. And he has a Moira in here. You don't beat heals more than that. But, like, by going out, look at this extra damage he's taken. Zarya's focusing him. Genji's focusing him. You guys are all just fine in here. Spectre doesn't even need to push out either. Look at this. Jinx pushes out too early, again, before the main tank is engaging. Spectre moves out. Look, Jinx could have dashed here. He could have dashed here if he had just waited for Spectre. Moira is still in here because this is the problem with Moira, is that you can't heal anyone. For example, if she had been on Ana, you could have just been here and you could have healed everyone this whole time. But that's just kind of the occupational hazard. So you guys just all like go like go crazy, go wild, because it's like everyone loses their brain because you get the 2 kills and then you think it's 1. And this is something I talked about Aeon with Aeon about in the voice chat last night. But we're really anti-clutch. We're really good at like thinking that we have a game 1 or whatever on ladder or in scrims and then getting sloppy. Like, you cannot let up on the discipline. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything. You just stay put. Just stay patient. So, Aeon lost his head there. Just Jinx lost his head there. Spectre lost his head there. You lost your head there. You should have either gone out with, like, around the back, probably. Like, around here. And assess the situation first, and then maybe gone in to help Spectre from behind the boxes. But instead you go out in the middle of point. Dodal is probably the only one who hasn't completely lost their sauce here. Rex is fine too, because they're like actually like taking it slow and figuring out the situation. But by then, it's too scattered. Like, this is why Moira is like kind of iffy. Is there's no recovering this. Everyone's just so spread out. Rex isn't in position to do anything. Aeon's gonna die. He's the most important person on this team. And yeah. So yeah, you feed by going out into the middle of point and in a sloppy way and not with anyone. Rex is feeding because he panicked after everyone else just went out in stupid ways. Or, no, okay, he had to rewind, that's good. Okay, so that's fine. You guys get the Ana, that's fine. As long as, like, so, now look at this, it's still winnable. You have the 4v3. All you have to do is get out. Because they have a high charge Zarya and a Reinhardt, and the Genji is off over by Aeon still. Just take a breather, get out, restabilize. They cannot recontest fast enough. All you have to do is play for angles and then wait for the Zarya to use her personal bubble, and you win this. This is fine using bubble, but now just jump to the high ground, because if you, or like get over here, because for example, if you go here, Moira can just top you all up. You all can just get your resources back. But no, you stay hard committed on the Zarya here. And she had her personal bubble still. The Spine charge is in. And then the Genji is back too. Like, you guys didn't take the time to stabilize. Like, a key part of dive is stabilizing after the dive. And you guys didn't take time to stabilize after the initial dive, when you killed the Torb and the Zen. And you didn't take a time to stabilize after the super sloppy, messy dive either. Anti-clutch. See, you just let 2 people take out the whole team and then Jinx staggers himself. I'd be shocked if Jinx survives this. Nope, he doesn't, yeah. And then you guys think, oh, there's no one left. Well, guess what? Now they have 4 people. You guys have 5 people. It's not really an advantage. Like, yeah, it's a small advantage, but not really. So, I would have rather that Spectre went out and killed this Ana here, and the rest of the team just all pummels the Ana and takes it slow, and then you come back in. Because look, this is not an isolated target. The Zen is not isolated. There's a Rhine on him. This is an isolated target. So for example, if Spectre and Aeon had dived to the Torb together, dove the Torb, though Torb is pretty resilient to dive, it might have gone a little better. And even then, though, you'd probably want the Ana healing you, because Moira can't. Like, this is the problem, is we're trying to play a normal dive comp, but with the Brawl dive DPS, or sorry, Brawl dive healers, and it just doesn't work that well. It's okay, but then you still have to be playing it right and smart. I don't know what you're doing. Hopefully you're having health pack, I guess, but you kind of just end up dying. Somehow the Rhine dies there. I guess it's because Rex and Aeon went and backed him up, so that was a good play. Like, look, now it's still just a 4v4. Because it was like, it's just sloppy. Like, you don't have the numbers. And they... Yeah, just messy. You just lose it. Like, you just gotta take your time. Be patient. We should have won the first fight. They shouldn't have come down to the second fight. They shouldn't have had Blade. They shouldn't have had people coming back. That first fight should have been completely our win. I'm just gonna be honest. And then the second fight was a sloppy recontest with after having one of our DPS staggered and thinking that we would have the advantage, but we don't. So it would have been better to just be patient and look for the targets, because you would have seen the Ana rotating in through main and then being able to dive her. And she's a much higher value target than really both the Rhine and the Zen. They should let you rotate in through left for free again. Spectre's being too aggro. He shouldn't have spent his bubble there. Now he has to wait for bubble to engage. Please don't. Okay, so that was a good pulse bomb. That was really well played by Rex. Please do not hard engage on this. They still have their front line. They still have their healers. The worst thing you can do is let them clutch it. Just wait. Spectre jumps in without bubble, so he's gonna have to primal. Rex is fine. Aeon is fine. Tricio, you're fine. Jinx isn't even in the middle of the team. Like, he's not even ready. He's not even ready. And there's the primal. Spectre gets charged. And you guys get the kills because it's sloppy and you guys managed to just, like... You guys get the kills, but it just... Because, like, you had to use the pulse bomb, you had to use the primal and all that, and the coalescence. You pretty much just won with ults, because they didn't invest any ults into that. No, they used Shatter. That was a wasted Shatter, but... And they used Grav. These dudes are bots. Plat bots again. That was a lost fight. They could have gotten so free with that. No comments on the execution. It was kind of sloppy, but it was fine. You send the monkey in, use coalescence. I don't love that Spectre engaged before Jinx was ready and before he had his bubble back, but it's kind of just whatever. DPS did a good job following up after it. Aeon did fine with the follow-up. Kind of just clean up.
Objective lost.
Hi there.
New defense point. Objective B.
This is awful. What did I say? You don't send the Genji out to play fetch. You don't send the Genji out to play fetch. He's not going out and catching the stick for you. You have to go in with him. He's going in alone. He's gonna get slept. He's gonna get pummeled by the turret. He's probably gonna get sucked off by Moira. D.Va's probably gonna peel back from him. He might survive just because Genji, but the team isn't ready to engage. They're antied. Aeon is half HP, no, 3/4 of his HP is gone. And his Matrix is probably halfway gone too, because if you put it up at all, his Diva, it's halfway gone. Healers aren't even through the doors. Like, you're just rounding the door. Rex isn't in position. That's a 1v6. And then you have Spectre jumping in on 2/3 health while antied, when on a healer who needs to be with the tank to even heal her. Like, you can't do this. You can't do this, like, long extension when you have a Moira. Like, it just fundamentally doesn't work. So, you just lose this fight. They didn't even need to be. Yeah, that engagement fed. What you would have needed to do is you would have needed to set up slowly. So on Volskaya, you either want to set up by like going around here, position here. You can kind of go up here and jockey for positions here. Even better, you send your like monkey over here. He just kind of chills until he gets jump again, and then you engage here. You set up these multiple angles to all engage on this backline spot and control this high ground here. And then you go for the slow burn down. So what you could do is you could send monkey and Genji over here, and then just chill. Send Diva up here, and then just chill, Diva and Tracer. Send Moira up here after fading through, just chill. Send Lucio over here, just chill. And then you have 2 units of 3, and then you all just converge on the Ana. They're dead. There's no way they survive it. You use Blade, you use whatever, you can use Bomb for cleanup. But like what happens is you have a Diva, Moira, and Tracer all running at this spot. Monkey, Genji, and Lucio all running at this spot. And guess what? Monkey jumped here. Guess who else is here? The Moira. The Moira has closed the distance to point. Like, the problem is when you're playing with the Moira and the Lucio, you have to think about the pathing, because it plays like a brawl comp, so therefore you need to path to point. You need to take slow approaches, or rather fast approaches, but ones that that aren't visible to the enemies. Like, you can't just have the Moira run down mid in a sprint, because then they don't fade. Like, you need to think about the pathing and how you're actually setting up and getting to places. Okay. Good reset. So you guys are on Brawl now. Sort of whatever. Brawl isn't really necessarily better or worse on this point. I personally prefer dive just like at all times, just because I'm a dive junkie, or rather an anti-brawl junkie, at least when I'm on the main tank. But it's like whatever. So you close the distance with Ryan rapidly, but then the problem is Spectre's already here. You guys are back here. Jinx is... It's fine, but really Jinx needs to be here or here. Because the problem is, so like Rex is in the right spot. The problem is, actually I'd rather have Rex here, but it doesn't really matter just because this is slightly closer to the enemy, but then there's the Torb turret, so it's kind of whatever. But the problem is, like, this isn't actually that great of a sightline for Jinx. Like, what are you hitting? Maybe they're Diva in the back, maybe they're Ryan. But as soon as you back up, there's nothing, and then you just drop and you're shoot down main. So it's kind of like, whatever. They Blade. We probably lose because we're not actually... Or, yeah, see, they make the same mistake with Blade, but yeah, Spectre's just going to die here. And then you guys just get run over. And that was essentially because they caught you during the rotation. You guys weren't in positions yet. You let them be proactive before you could be proactive. Don't give them opportunities by pushing in. Like, for example, Diva can be up here. This is fine, but then you just don't peek, because then you're giving the Torb and the Genji ult charge. Ashe can wait right here, do absolutely nothing. Ryan can wait right here, doing nothing. Same with Moira and Lucio. Tracer goes all the way up here, nothing. Absolutely nothing, just sitting here. And then As soon as you make the call, Tracer comes up to here, waits, and then Ashe gets ready to coach gun, and then Ryan starts moving in, and as soon as Ryan like reaches right here, bam, Tracer starts pressuring from the sides. Ashe, coach gun's over, bursts down the turret, starts blasting into the side of these dudes. And then you speed the Ryan in on the front line. D.Va can come right here and start blasting here, and ideally probably focus down the turret so that Jinx can stay alive and have no pressure on the backline. Because see, there's no opportunity to blade if you don't like just stand in the open. But then they had that opportunity because you guys were kind of just it was just indecisive. So Rex is on a good angle. Aeon is fine, but he's poking before the fight, so now he's super low, and there's no easy way to heal that. He's forced to bomb at a kind of, it's an okay moment. You are feeding Trucio. Yes, Lucio flanking is kind of okay, but really only when they have a sniper and you don't have someone to deal with it. Because right now, Rex is completely fine. He doesn't need the backup. And look at Spectre. He's like already at half health trying to close the distance. And his shield is probably, his shield is half health too. Like, there's no way to close distance. And then Rex now has to sit in main. Or, well, no, he shouldn't have been. Jinx, I mean. He shouldn't have been in main. He should have been on off angle still. Or even like here. This is still better than main. And, and they're Widow. Oh, they do have a Widow now. But you guys aren't even on the Widow. So it's even weirder. But yeah, it was a sloppy and rushed engage. You pretty much always need to be tied to the Reinhardt, except if you're peeling off to kill like a Widow or something mid-fight, or peeling off to peel mid-fight. Because realistically, you need to be speed boosting the Rein so you can actually close the distance. Bomb gets Torb, that's lucky, and then they run you over because it was a sloppy engage. The Spectre gets... I pray that he was charged here. Let's see. That's a bot charge. That is such a bot charge. You're not going to get the kills here. They're at full health. Charge only does 300 damage. You can't land the kills. You're charging away from your support, who just happens to get picked off by a Widow anyways. That's just unlucky. But you're charging away from the Coalescence, out of the Coalescence sightline. They're already forced off point. You could have just sat here. That's a-okay. And you could have hugged the corner. Dodo could have hugged the corner. Except that she had to take a wide angle to try and keep you alive during your charge, Spectre. That was really sus. And that's already lost, because you lost the main support, you lost the tank. You lose those two. Those are like the two key things that can end a fight early. Yes, you can survive and win a fight without a main tank, but you can't engage without a main tank. You guys didn't actually get onto the point and get the control yet. You need map control before you don't need a main tank. Like, that's the reason that, like, if you win, like, on point B, or I mean point A, if you go and you kill, like, a bunch of people and then your main tank dies, but you still have numbers advantage, that's an easy win, because you already have the control of the point and they're already forced off of it. But it's almost impossible to force out a team with a main tank if you do not have a main tank left alive. Let's see what happens next.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
I don't know why everyone's going up here. This does nothing. Spectre just ends up traveling across the same amount of empty space. And actually has even less cover because he doesn't have the boxes. Doesn't really help Moira to be up here because she's going to have to drop anyways. Aeon maybe gets helped if he's on high charge, but I know he isn't. And I like the Mercy swap here for the Ashe, but it does mean Jinx has to get on good sight lines. So like this is a situation when going over here as the Ashe would be even better, because then you have the pocketed Ashe on this flank, and you're resistant to the turret and everything, and it would probably just shred through their whole team. But no, it's like the problem is if everyone goes on a flank, it's not a flank anymore. If everyone goes on an off angle, it's not an off angle. It just now that's just main.
60 seconds remaining.
Nerf this.
Their Diva's feeding. Yeah, the only reason you guys should get this just because the Diva fed so hard. Good Bob. Big Torbolt. Total is somehow all the way here. This isn't way too deep. Spectre is fine. I don't know, this is kind of whatever. But Dodal, I don't know what Dodal is doing.
30 seconds remaining.
Probably panic faded in to heal. At least I would assume. But that was sloppy. You guys need to get out. It's the lost fight. Oh wait, no, you have the res. So yeah, if Dodal hadn't done that, that would have been an easy fight win, if I'm honest. Big shatter. That won the fight. See? So yeah, Diva feeding gave you an opportunity. Shatter cleans it up. And now you guys should be able to get this, actually.
10
No. Okay, never mind. 2 CP. Sorry, forgot about the respawn advantage. Yeah, you need a flawless push to get anywhere in 2 CP. So, yeah, you guys you beefed it. See exactly where. Because if Spectre hadn't died, then it probably would have been fine. Yeah, so once again, Diva fed. You guys have enough time here. Jinx is fine. He put out Bob in a great spot. Yeah, see Spectre overextend again. Like, it doesn't look like it, but Dodal is just a little too far from him, and that's why she's like fading in now, is she's scared that he's gonna die and realizes that, and then she just overextends the fade. But Spectre could have taken it a little slower. Dodal could have just not faded and could have just walked up and it would have probably been fine too. Spectre needed to just keep his shield up instead of rotating it around. Yeah, so it's pretty much just that one fade misstep and Spectre going a tiny bit too far up. Yeah, the Nano Torb was a real something. It's actually one of my favorite nanos just for the lulz, and it's actually pretty good. But yeah, pretty much just that sloppy engage with the rush timing, sloppy engage with rush timing once again lost the fight.
10 seconds remaining.
That once again you guys had an advantage in.
Helden sterben nicht. Time to raise my APM.
Ready for battle. Attackers incoming.
Okay,
Defend
comps.
Objective A.
Now we are on the spam comp. I don't know really why we're on the Torb. I'm assuming it's just because Rux was like, let me run Torb. But it's not supposed to be a mocking interpretation of the voice, but it seems like something he would do. Tricio, your positioning is fine. Jinx is in a terrible spot. Jinx should be up here because he's playing like a Widowmaker. When you're playing the Ashen with the Mercy Pocket, you're essentially playing Widowmaker, except that you can take even more aggro of positions. So like that means you could do like when they're coming in, you can rotate all the way back here and shoot them in the back because you have the coach gun to get out and the dynamite. So this is just stupid. Like you don't want to be on. I mean, yeah, stupid is a little harsh, but it's just not optimal to be shooting down main. Yeah, I realize he's probably just looking for an opening pick here, but otherwise positioning is fine for the team. Spectre should not be defending in choke here. He should be defending on truck behind it, or he should be defending on forklift. Because the problem is, like, look at this. If you're defending here, your resources are already so burnt by the time that you get to here that you just have to keep backing up. But if you're on truck, you have the cover. You can just kind of whack at them and stall here forever and not give them any space. Like, playing on truck is really powerful as Reinhardt if your team supports you right. It's where I was told. Or if we're back here, look, Spectre ended up back here anyways, so it's the same difference. See, same corner. Now don't rush in. Where? How did their Hanzo get that angle? Hey, look at this. If Jinx had been up here from the start, open sesame, open sesame, free kills, because they don't have the range to contest you from here. Or even back here, you could have just dropped down, been right here pressuring their Rhine from that same frontline angle, except look, now Dodal and you aren't opened up to the snipers. Just straight up better. But now Jinx is standing in the middle point, Dodal is standing in the middle point, and look, hit by a massive dynamite, Dodal dies because of it. That's a huge, awful pickoff. Tricio, I would rather if you didn't pick this spot, because it's really open to the side angles, I would rather if you drop down into the Mega. Because if you're on the Mega room, you close down the angles, see, because you can hug here, and they have a sharper angle. You can still heal your team, and then you have a Mega too. So it's just safer so that you don't get picked off by random stuff like the Hanzo. Yeah, now the team has lost this already. They just have to run in and you guys lose. And see, look at that patience that they had. Like, I don't think it was necessarily intentional. It might have just been their Rhine waffling around because their Rhine manages to die anyways, I think. Yeah, the Rhine managed to die anyways. But, see, they just patiently use the spam damage and then won the fight. Like, you don't need to rush in the instant you get something, and you don't need to be rash about how you do it.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective.
Too much space on point A. Like when you let them in at the start. Not necessarily. Let's see. It's like right here. The problem is you gave them too many angles. So it's a little different than too much space, because like yes, you guys gave them too much space, because the problem is like you can hold them up here and that's fine, but then like if you're playing a full brawl, you would hold up here or whatever, or like go in, like hold here and then go for a quick Russian because you want to close that distance quick. But then if you're playing a spam comp, like you guys kind of were, playing back here is fine. But then the problem is you can't give them these angles for free. You need to be in them. Like if Jinx had been here, this angle is closed off. They don't have this space. It's not safe. They would have had to like duel it or whatever. Even more so if Aeon had been on Sigma, he could have been up here. This would have been free low if he was on Sigma. So it's not as much giving them free space as much as giving them free angles. And like you gave them a free angle by being up here where it's vulnerable instead of here. Because like if you can give people free angles by not being in the angle yourself, and by being in the angle yourself but not actually being someone who can contest that angle, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's get back up to B.
Objective. New defense point. Objective B.
So yeah, against spam comps, you just want to take the angles yourself and minimize the angles they have on you. Similar case here. I would play back here if I was on Orisa. As Reinhardt, I play up here, like behind boxes, because you have you can close the distance you can cut them off before they rotate in and take space and take angles. And instead of getting boxed back here, you get a lot more map control. This is a smart rotation by them because it sets up their Hanzo on this long rotation. And if they wait for their Widow to get into main, this could be serious trouble. I don't know how good the Widow sightline is from here or whatever, but like if they just put in Widow here, you know how I said Jinx shouldn't be in main? Well, that's only because the rest of the team is pushing in from the same like 30 degrees angle. But if the rest of the team is pushing in here, then it's 100% fine to be a sniper shooting down main because suddenly the main is the flank. So let's see how we react to this. Jinx isn't in position yet. Rex is fine. Spectre's fine. Aeon is... it's fine. Tricio, you're... fine. Yeah, that's where you should be. I personally usually prefer to have my Ana here because then you can drop back a little safer or have them up here, but it's kind of whatever. Their Reinhardt's a bot. Their Hanzo isn't in position yet. Their Widow isn't in position yet. He just goes out. You guys should win this fight. Yeah, their Rein feeds. They might get a take out of this, but you guys should win this. As long as you don't go into aggro. Spectre goes into aggro. It's fortunately still fine because you already killed their Zarya and took out the teeth, but that was very scary for a second. But yeah, the Ryan feeds that fight. It was probably a fine fight for them if they just waited. We played fine too. Like you guys were chomping at the bit, but I'm glad you guys waited because by taking that moment to stabilize, you won the fight. I didn't see anything blaringly wrong with the setup. Spectre's kind of defending in the open. My guess is he doesn't have shield anymore at this point. So he's kind of just going ham. Jinx is on a fine angle here. It's not great because of where Spectre's forcing them, but it's kind of just whatever. The rest of you guys are fine. I like the rest of you guys. You are too wide. Like if you're in the middle of point, this is really dangerous. Actually, more like you're too long. Look at that length. I would rather have you here on the turret because then you're just like you're able to close off those angles as you need, or up here because once again you have a wall that you can close off the angles with. But, okay, Grave Dragons. Nothing you could really do about that feasibly. That was just unlucky. You would have just needed to track that and have Rex and Aeon play on flanks, and then have Spectre play alone in the middle probably, and then just rush in. That would have just been something that you needed to track. But yeah, now you guys just lose that. That's just 2 CP for you. If you have a powerful ult combo, like if you have that powerful ult combo, you can kind of just wing it out and then blam blam win it. But once again, it's 2 CP, so the single bob lets you win the fight because that's the defender's advantage. I'm astonished. The enemy team should have won that for all practical purposes. And that's as simple as that. I don't think there's much you could have done against the Grave Dragons. I don't know how they didn't win, and I don't have the time to check because it would make this too long. But that's just how a cookie crumbled. They got a tick out of it though, which is fine. It's better to give a tick and than to give a whole point. That's a great pick on their Lucio. Pretty much just kite back and then give them the space, stabilize a little, and then you're fine. Because the problem is if you're like up here, you're in the Hanzo's sightline, you're in the Widow's sightline. There's no reason to give them more sightlines than you need. Ashe can kind of just like sit here or whatever, because then it's you get a little more pressure on the Ryan. Pretty much just let the Ryan feed and you win. Yeah, see, Ryan feeds, and then you win the fight. Now, they should be using... They should just nano Ryan here again. As in, they probably will just nano Ryan. I would rather they nano Zarya. I would rather that we use Bob on an off angle at the start. except Jinx gets picked off by random Hanzo spam. Probably because of poking before a fight, but I'm not gonna dice it because Hanzo's a stupid hero and sometimes that just happens. So unlucky. New plan should be use Rex's Torbolt to zone out right here and right here, because that would just stall out the push for a very long amount of time.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
But no, you guys let them rotate in for free. I don't know why Rex is holding on to his ult here. There's no reason to. You guys have 4, almost 5 ultimates. So even if you could win the fight without it, there's no reason not to. Spectre's being dangerously aggro. See? You're giving them an opportunity to push back in. Because of slightly sloppy play. No, you didn't even really need the Grav, honestly. Because, like, yeah, it would have been nice to combo with Grav. But at the same time, you don't need to actually combo stuff with Grav. Because, like, what you can do with Grav is, for example, he could just toss it up here at the Hanzo, and then Jinx can literally just shoot the Hanzo in the head, and it's fine. Or he can just grab the Zarya at a slight off angle from the Rhine and just burn down the Zarya. Like, you can just grab those tiny individual targets, because kills, like individual kills, win fights. You don't always need it to be some massive Grav combo, especially not on 2CP, where you don't actually need team wipes as the defense. You just need enough that you take out their momentum. So I would have rather that we just use the Torbolt to just stall them out and make sure that we win the fight, than to go for some big combo and save it. Because like this looks like it might be dangerous. I would imagine we still win this because of 2CP advantage, but we don't still win it because they have big ults. Yeah, and that's that. So yeah, they're pretty much. Yeah, and see, look at this. Look at this. Grav, we were 60% to it, gone. Bob, wasted because we didn't even get the chance to use it. Torbolt, wasted. Shatter, wasted, saving it for next round. Valkyrie was used to first stall. All of those huge ult bank ults, we were just too slow and too conservative on using them. Like I said, it's better. Like I've said this over and over, I think, but it's better to use too much and get the fight that you really need to win than too little and then just lose it anyways, because then you had the resources and you could have just lost it. So I'm probably gonna cut off stream. If you have any questions, just go and slap them down. I would say probably the main things that we need to focus on are having a game plan in terms of setting up where we're going to engage. Like, we need to actually know where we're engaging from and what angles we're taking, and just timing and making sure that everyone is in position to do what they need to do. Because like there's a lot of times when our DPS could have been on way more aggressive angles, or just we didn't have enough people or whatever, and then we're like, oh, let's hit the gas pedal, go, go, go. And then it's like, well, really though, there's people just straight up not ready. So, and then the other thing with timing, of course, is just being patient and stabilizing. So, like when you when you get a kill and get an advantage, yes, you want to push that advantage, but you don't want to be reckless with it. It has to be controlled. No, so stabilizing mid-fight, having a game plan for taking angles and rotations, and checking that everyone is ready. So, yeah, that's probably my main points. Yeah, so, yeah, they planned better, fed too much, and sometimes just had really sloppy positioning at times, but that's just Plat. And it looked like you guys were probably winning the individual skill battle and winning the overall teamwork battle, but less game plans, like in game. It kind of looks like you guys just threw yourselves at the point a lot. So I think you're kind of spot on with that. Yeah. So yeah, those would probably just be my main things to take a look at. Thank you for sticking around for the VOD. I'm glad that someone was able to watch it live and ask questions because it lets me explain things that I might have not thought to explain. So. I'll probably put this on YouTube as soon as it uploads or whatever. Yep, see ya. Thanks for coming.